Something made you click on this tonight. Maybe it was late. Maybe the room was quiet, and everyone else was asleep, and you were the only one still awake, scrolling through 1,000 things that meant nothing, until this one stopped you. Your thumb froze. Your chest tightened just slightly. And some part of you, the part that doesn't use words, whispered, "This one is different. This is not an accident. You didn't find this video. It found you." And if you're honest with yourself, you felt something shifting lately, something you can't quite name, something happening just beneath the surface of your ordinary days. A feeling like the air around you has changed pressure. Like something is coming, even if you don't know what, or who, or when. I want you to sit with that feeling for a moment instead of running from it. Because tonight, I'm going to tell you something that might sound impossible at first. But by the end, I think you'll understand why your heart wouldn't let you scroll away. Somewhere out there, closer than you think, a stranger has been carrying you in their thoughts. Not as a memory. Not as a fantasy. As a quiet, persistent pull they don't fully understand either. And tonight, of all nights, that pull grew stronger. Stay with me. Because what I'm about to share isn't about magic, and it isn't about certainty. It's about something older than both, something you've probably felt before but never had the words for. Let's talk about why this message found you today, specifically today, and not last week or next month. You may not realize it, but timing is rarely random. Think about the small decisions that led you here, the video before this one, the search you almost didn't type, the moment you almost closed the app but didn't. Every one of those small choices lined up like dominoes, and the last one fell just now, with you, in this exact moment, hearing these exact words. What if everything you've been through in the last few months, the waiting, the confusion, the nights where you asked why is nothing moving forward, was never wasted time? What if it was preparation? Not punishment. Not neglect. Preparation. There is a kind of stillness that happens right before something big shifts. Farmers know it. Sailors know it. The moment before a storm breaks, the air goes strangely calm. Maybe that's where you are right now, not stuck, not forgotten, but standing in the calm before something moves. Someone has been thinking about you. Not in the way people think about someone briefly and let them go. In the way that keeps returning, uninvited, at strange hours, during a drive, during a quiet dinner, right before falling asleep. A thought that doesn't ask permission to arrive. And here's the part that might unsettle you a little: they don't fully understand why you keep crossing their mind either. I want to introduce you to the idea of this stranger, not as a fixed person with a face you already know, but as a presence. Some of you already have someone specific in mind right now. A name surfaced the moment I said, stranger. Maybe it's someone from your past. Maybe it's someone you haven't met yet, someone still walking toward you from a direction you can't see. Either way, notice that a name or a face appeared. That's not coincidence. That's recognition. Soulmate connections, in the way most people imagine them, aren't only romantic. Sometimes they're the friend who becomes family. Sometimes they're the person who re-enters your life at the exact moment you needed a witness to your growth. But often, and I think you already know this, it is romantic. It is a person your soul recognized before your mind caught up. What if this connection has been quietly forming in the background of your life, the way roots grow underground long before anything breaks through the soil? You don't see roots growing. You only see the tree once it's tall enough to notice. Maybe that's what's happening right now, somewhere out of sight, a connection strengthening beneath the surface of ordinary life, invisible until it isn't. You might be wondering, if this is real, why haven't I seen it yet? Why does it still feel like silence? Keep listening. Because the next part explains something that most people misunderstand completely. The silence was never rejection. I need you to hear that clearly, because silence is the cruelest illusion the mind creates. When someone goes quiet, when a connection seems to pause, stall, or disappear, the human mind rushes to fill that silence with the worst possible explanation. They forgot me. They moved on. It was never real. But silence isn't always absence. Sometimes silence is a season. A necessary one. Your angels, or whatever quiet, unseen support system you believe watches over you, have been working in ways you cannot yet observe. Not loudly. Not with fireworks or grand announcements. Quietly. In the timing of a delayed text message. In the reason a meeting got postponed. In the strange detour that kept two people from crossing paths a year too early, when neither of them was ready. Think about the times in your life when something you desperately wanted didn't happen on your timeline, and later, much later, you understood why. The job you didn't get, that led you somewhere better. The relationship that ended, that made space for something you couldn't have handled at the time. Hindsight has a way of turning our confusion into gratitude. What if this waiting period is doing the same thing right now, except you're still in the middle of it, still too close to see the whole shape of it? God has never forgotten you, and if that phrase doesn't fit your beliefs, replace it with whatever word feels true to you: the universe, fate, destiny, the quiet order beneath the chaos. Whatever you call it, it has not lost track of you. Not for a single day. Let's talk about divine timing, because this is where most people give up too early. Divine timing is not about things happening exactly when you want them. It's about things happening exactly when both people, both circumstances, both hearts are finally ready to hold what's coming without breaking under it. Imagine two rivers, far apart, each winding through completely different landscapes. One flows through mountains. One flows through valleys. They don't know about each other. They don't see each other. But if you trace their paths far enough, they're both moving toward the same sea. That's what's happening. You are one river. This stranger, this presence you feel but can't yet touch, is the other. You are both moving, even when it feels like standing still, even when the road feels repetitive and slow. Rivers don't rush. They carve their path with patience, and eventually, without needing to force it, they arrive. What if the delays you've experienced weren't obstacles at all, but the exact bends in the river that kept you from arriving too soon, unfinished, unready? This is the part that's hard to accept, especially if you're someone who has waited a long time already. But I promise you, the waiting had a purpose. Not a punishment. A purpose. So why did it have to take this long? Why couldn't it have happened sooner? Here's the truth almost no one wants to hear: if this connection had arrived earlier, in an earlier version of you, you might not have recognized it. You might have let it slip past you, distracted by things that don't matter anymore, wounded by things you hadn't healed yet, chasing things you've since outgrown. Think about who you were 2 years ago. Would that version of you have known how to receive something real? Would that version of you have had the patience, the self-worth, the clarity to not sabotage something good the moment it arrived? Growth is quiet. It happens in the unnoticed moments, the night you finally stopped checking your phone waiting for someone who wasn't coming back. The morning you decided to choose yourself instead of chasing someone else's approval. The slow, private decision to heal instead of numb. Every one of those quiet moments has been rebuilding you into someone capable of receiving what's coming. This is why the timing had to be exactly now, and not before. What if the version of you sitting here right now, listening to these words, is finally the version who's ready? Something is changing right now. Even if you can't see it yet, even if your daily life looks exactly the same as it did yesterday, something behind the scenes has shifted. Have you noticed strange little signs lately? Repeating numbers that seem to follow you, on clocks, on receipts, on license plates. A song that keeps playing at exactly the wrong, or exactly the right, moment. A memory of someone resurfacing out of nowhere, with no clear reason why today of all days. These signs aren't proof of anything guaranteed. No one can promise you an outcome, and anyone who does is not being honest with you. But signs like these are often reflections of an internal shift, a realignment happening somewhere between your conscious mind and whatever quiet wisdom lives beneath it. What if your intuition is trying to tell you something your logical mind hasn't caught up to yet? Pay attention this week. Not obsessively, not anxiously, just gently. Notice the coincidences. Notice the pull toward certain places, certain decisions, certain people. You don't need to force anything. You only need to stay open. I want to speak to the tired part of you now. The part that has hoped before and been disappointed. The part that wants to believe this but is scared to, because believing and then losing hurts more than never believing at all. I understand that fear. I'm not going to tell you it isn't valid, because it is. But I want to offer you something different than blind hope. I want to offer you steady hope. The kind that doesn't collapse the moment things get quiet again. You are allowed to hope without needing proof first. You are allowed to trust the process even while you don't fully understand it. This isn't about naivety. It's about choosing peace over the exhausting cycle of doubt and despair that never actually protected you from anything, it only stole your joy in the meantime. Your story is about to change, not because I can promise you a specific person, a specific reunion, a specific date. I can't, and anyone claiming otherwise is selling you a lie dressed up as comfort. But your story is changing in the way that matters most, your relationship with yourself, your patience, your capacity to trust something larger than your fear. That change is already happening. Can you feel it? Let's imagine, gently, what a future reunion or breakthrough might feel like, not as a guarantee, but as a possibility worth holding on to. Picture an ordinary day. Nothing special about the weather, nothing planned, nothing you were expecting. And then, somehow, in a way you couldn't have scripted, everything aligns. A conversation happens that wouldn't have happened a year ago. A door opens that had been locked for so long you'd stopped checking it. A person walks back into your life, or walks into it for the first time, and something in you recognizes them instantly, the way you recognize a familiar song within the first 3 notes. Maybe it's not even a person. Maybe your breakthrough is internal, a moment where you finally feel whole without needing anyone else to complete you, and ironically, that's the exact moment someone worthy of you finally arrives. Whatever form it takes, I want you to imagine it not with desperation, but with quiet confidence. Not clinging to it. Not demanding it happen on your schedule. Just open. Like a door left slightly ajar, ready for whatever is meant to walk through it. What if the breakthrough you're waiting for is closer than you've allowed yourself to believe? If any part of this has spoken to your heart tonight, I want you to do something simple. Write the words, "I trust divine timing," in the comments below. Not because typing a sentence changes your circumstances by magic, but because naming what you believe, out loud, in front of others, has a strange power to make it feel more real inside you. Sometimes we need to declare our hope before we fully feel it, and the feeling catches up afterward. You are not the only one listening to this tonight, even though it feels like I'm speaking only to you. Thousands of people are sitting in their own quiet rooms, carrying their own version of your story, their own waiting, their own doubt, their own small flicker of hope they're afraid to trust. You are part of something larger than your loneliness tells you that you are. So before you go, I want to leave you with this. Whatever you are waiting for, a person, a reunion, a breakthrough, a version of your life that finally feels like peace, you have not been forgotten. Not for one single day. Not in the quiet mornings, not in the long nights, not in the moments you thought no one noticed how hard you were trying to hold yourself together. You are allowed to rest tonight. You are allowed to stop bracing for disappointment for just a little while, and simply breathe. Whatever is meant for you is still finding its way to you, in its own time, in its own way, exactly as it should. Thank you for staying until the end. Thank you for letting your heart be soft enough to listen, even after everything that's tried to harden it. That softness is not a weakness. It's the very thing that will let you recognize what's coming when it finally arrives. You are not alone. You have never been alone. And whatever tonight was meant to plant in you, I hope it grows into something steady, a quiet, unshakable kind of peace that stays with you long after this video ends.